Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk. Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
The Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off session.
This is a cool night or what? Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of your Dark Companion. We are glad to have you along with us. Shout out to the Live at 5 crew who jumps on at 5 o'clock when we do these. You get to hear it first. We have a very amusing cat for you today on this, the 19th of January. This is show number 189. We are starting to bear down on 200. Got Ashley in here. We got Shoopy in here. And we also have today's special guest. Now, back in the day, I don't know if you know this or not, but I used to work at this crazy little thing called The Ticket. And there, I met a large number of very, very unusual people. Most of whom, but not all, but most of whom I still like, if not, in fact, love to this very day. And today we have one of those who was there. And I spent a lot of time around him because whenever we were on the air, he was across the way at the helm for a good chunk of this. Now, you probably know of him by a certain, I guess you'd call it a fetish that he was known for. Because, let's face it, I don't know of too many heterosexual men in his demographic who are into this. But not only is he into it, he is a flat-out expert at this. What we're talking about is Dancing with the Stars, and the guy we are talking about is Tony.
Wow.
Tony Smith. What?
Ashley was very concerned of who she was sharing a room with.
Well, yeah.
It's nothing really that outlandish, I guess, but
no, but
against the backdrop that I presented, it's rather
it's
unusual.
Concerning for someone that doesn't know who Tony is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you might hear that and think, well, this guy is just some sort of pervy weirdo.
Which he is, but not for that.
I think I've had enough of this.
Oh,
It's a good run.
We haven't even started yet. But no, there's nothing pervy. There's nothing weird about him. Just a really odd fetish. An unusual bag that he's into. And when I say into it, I don't mean just skimming the top.
No, he's expert level.
He is into it like nobody else. He is expert level.
Jedi level.
Yes. If you need to know about any episode of Dancing with the Stars, maybe you had to duck out on episode 14 of season 6. They've had 6, haven't they?
Seasons?
Yeah.
They've had 34.
Okay. All right. Well, let's stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe episode 6 of season 19. Maybe you had to duck out on that episode, and you never found out who won, but the thought crossed your mind the other day, hey, I don't even know who won that, but who could I ask? Well, here he is. You can ask Tony because he knows. And there is no, well, let me think about this for a couple seconds. It's all right there. It's unbelievable. But we'll get into that later. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. With that build up, there's no way I can live up to that.
Of course there is.
Plus, you got to remember.
You do it every day. You did it every day, Tony.
I did it every day, but I've been gone from the station now 4+ years. So things have changed a little in my intake of Dancing with the Stars. Don't get me wrong, I'm still immersed, but not quite as much as I once was. Yeah.
Oh, so that was just a thing you used to draw attention at the station?
No. There was a dark period. Like you used to talk about dark periods in your life many times. There was a dark period in Dancing with the Stars history, and that's when the show was on its way out, we thought, and I didn't pay attention as much as I should have then. But
now, when was this exactly?
Well, I don't know how much you know or don't know, but they let
I don't know anything.
Tom Bergeron was the original host for the show, and he lasted all the way through season 28. And then they brought in an outside producer, executive showrunner, or whatever you want to call him, not from the Dancing with the Stars family. And it reminded me of you. There's so many things that remind me of the Ticket when I talk Dancing with the Stars, or when I talk Ticket, there's things that remind me of Dancing with the Stars. I always thought of the word consultant because I remember you said you had a definition of what consultants do. They kind of like pigeons.
Yes, they're like pigeons.
Yes.
They fly in, shit all over everything, and fly out.
There you go. That's what this guy did. He was an outsider. He didn't know Dancing with the Stars, and he didn't know what to do. And the show just started tanking in the ratings. They brought in Tyra Banks to host it instead of Tom Bergeron. I don't know anything about her other than she can't host that show. And then they banished it to Disney Plus. They took it off ABC one season, and I thought that was it. And so I got to tell you, I checked out a little bit then because they killed the goose that laid the golden egg. Yeah, is the way I looked at it.
Now, how many seasons did it last on ABC Plus?
Well, it's still there. It's Disney Plus, but they brought it back to ABC after one season.
Oh, okay.
Because they realized the error of their ways. And now it's a different show. They have catered to the younger audience because a lot of the people that started watching in 2000, way back when, 2005, like me, some of them are dying off, to say the least. And, as recently as probably 6 years ago, the median age of that show that watched it was like 62 or something. And they've just done a complete 180. It's all young people now. And us old folks, it's still fun, but it's not the show that I once loved.
Not what you showed up for, huh?
Well, there's a lot of things that are still there. But
so you got a Dancing with the Stars mug there.
Oh, yeah. And if it gets hot in here, I'm going to take this off, and I got my Dancing with the Stars T-shirt on under here. It's actually pink, too, so I never wear it in public because I would catch all kind of grief. But
boy, did he show up in form or what?
He was ready. I think he was just carrying that around regardless.
This?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I drink. I water and stuff. So
okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you been gone from the mothership?
December of 21. And weren't you December of 19?
I was.
So a little over 4 years. You're a little over 6 years. Yeah. Hard to believe.
What led to your departure?
It's kind of a multi-pronged thing, really a before COVID and an after COVID thing. At any job you have the pluses and minuses on a scale, let's say, and Ticket was always up here, pluses, and this was the minuses. They started going like that a little bit just before COVID hit. A lot of things that happened that no one was to blame for. It's just things happen in life. We had you guys had an incredible run of 20 years basically where no one left. And then you had all this us underlings that didn't leave either because we wanted to be a tiny part of it. So then things started happening.
Well, we all knew back then that we were never going to have it better.
Yeah.
So when you got it like that, you stay until you just don't want to anymore.
Yep.
And that's the way those things go. It's the way they should go. Really, it's just the natural order of things, you know?
And what a run.
Yep. What a run. So what led to you leaving? Had you pretty much had it or?
Sure, by 21. Yeah. Before 21, little things happened that would, like I said, nobody's fault. We moved our engineering headquarters. And I had kind of already gotten to a stage of life where I was fashioning my life around things that I was doing to make them easy or comfortable or fun. And so I moved very close to our old headquarters, and a second job I had. By the way, I got that second job, I'm convinced, because of who I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're interviewing for it, and we're having small talk first, and then, you know, just about, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming out. And we sit down. He looks at the resume, and then he looks at me, and he looks at the resume, and he looks at me. He goes, "You're not Dancing with the Stars, Tony, are you?" I swear to God. And I just busted out laughing. And I'm like, "Oh, you're a P1." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I listen all the time." I go, "How'd you know it was me?" He says, "Well, your voice sounded familiar, number one. You know, they usually don't see us on radio, or they do you guys, but not the really lower underlings." And he said, I looked down, and it said the ticket or Cumulus Media. And then he just kind of put it together, I guess, and he just blurted that out. And so, yeah, that's who I was, or am. And so we talked probably 20 minutes.
You always will be, Tony.
I swear to God, of that 20 minutes, 5 minutes was about the job. And the other 15 was like, what's Mike and Corby really like? Because he knew I worked usually mainly hardline remotes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, who does, I don't know, the fake Jason Garrett or whatever. He knew most of that stuff, but he would ask me ticket questions. And I mean, after we were done, he kind of shoveled me off to a nurse. We were going to get a swab for our drug test, I guess. And he didn't really say goodbye or anything. He just handed me off to her. And I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's finishing up. And I go, is he coming back? And she goes, "Oh, I don't think so. Why?" And I go, "Well, we really didn't finish anything. Like, I don't know what to do next. Are they considering me?" She says, "Oh, if you're seeing me, you're hired." I go, "Really?"
Damn.
So it was just kind of like, I think that, "Oh, you're a ticket guy. You bet you're hired." That's the way I took it.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was incredible. So I go home, and I'm like, I think I just got a job. But I really didn't know. So, and of course, then I kind of became a pseudo celebrity there. The boss there watches the show. And then it's a hotel, by the way, and I drive for the hotel. And so stars will come in from time to time to do conventions and so forth. And like two of my heroes on Dancing with the Stars happen to be doing conventions at the Gaylord. Well, that's where I am, the Gaylord Texan. And the bosses do that, and they were nice enough to let me drive them. And I turned into all kind of stuff. One of them was a dancer, and she heard that I liked it, and so I just started spouting off stuff to her, and she's like, "Can I videotape this?" And I go, "Yeah." She put it on her TikTok, and there was people I hadn't talked to in years saying, "You're a celebrity now." And I'm like, "I haven't talked to you in 5 years. What are you talking about?" She says, "You're on TikTok. You're on Emma's TikTok." And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it all intertwines, the ticket and Dancing with the Stars, and it all started with the station, of course. But
of course,
yes,
like
so,
everything does.
Yeah, so I don't even know how I got on it. Oh, I have a second job. Yeah, you were asking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, you'll have to keep me on track here. I'm not an expert at this.
We'll
I just start going here.
We go off on tangents too.
Okay.
You're in a safe place.
So I had this second job, and anyways, I was close to the headquarters, so they moved the headquarters. And again, these are all minor things, but in totality, they just started kind of piling up. And it tripled my commute time. It was a hazardous cargo route. So they had like trucks and stuff spewing stuff out all the time onto your car. I had 2 flat tires in the first year because there's junk on the road all the time, debris. Bad part of town.
When was this?
About 2018 when they moved headquarters, yeah.
So you were still at the station at the time, too?
Oh, yeah. This is part of what led up to why.
Okay.
And then, again, little things. Bad part of town, so homeless animals, homeless people. That wouldn't bother some people, but I hated seeing that every day I went to work. Broke my heart seeing these animals and these people out here, you know. And, it was in a floodplain kind of, and so when it rained, it was a quagmire everywhere. I can go on and on. There were no exterior lights on the building.
Where was this?
It's off of Loop 12 in West Dallas. It's just an industrial area. There's junkyards everywhere.
Yeah, okay. I think I know.
And everything was difficult. You had to have flashlights, pitch black, very scary. You know, going to a muser's remote at 3 in the morning was a pain in the neck, coming home from a hardline remote. So all these things were wearing on me. You get to the building, it's got no plumbing. You know, you always have dirty hands in that job, cut your fingers and stuff. You want to clean them up. Couldn't do it. And that was minor compared to the restroom. Number one, we could always improvise. Number two was difficult, and I'm not even going to get into some of the things I had to do there. But it was like, it's just a pain in the neck going to work anymore before we even get to the real job, which was, twisting and tweaking for you guys.
Hell yeah.
So it was kind of starting to become a beatdown. But the big thing was you left. That affected me tremendously.
Me?
Yes. What do you mean, me? Yes, the godfather of the station, the one that brought this to everyone and has...
I figured that had zero impact on anything.
Oh, my God. It broke my heart. And not only because you were there and you were the sound of the station to me, mainly because I worked hardline, I guess, but you built it. You brought these talented people in the beginning. You took chances. And, like many people, you're my leader, you're my hero. And I'm like, he can't be leaving. It really bothered me. And yeah, I know. And then on a more personal level, as far as work goes, at that time I was very senior in the engineering staff. If you stayed long enough, you just kind of kept getting to do the more fun jobs. Yeah. And the ticket was the fun job. Believe me, I toiled with WBAP and the Wolf and ESPN for a while, and even the Bone until I stayed long enough. Because as you know, when we had good engineers, they wouldn't stay because they didn't get paid and they couldn't get a full-time job. For me, those meant nothing. I was at the station because I had a love affair with you guys in the station. I was older than all those guys. I didn't want a full-time job. I didn't need to get paid. Hell, I'd have done it for free probably. And there was times at the end later in my career, I'd still be working a show with you guys. And, I did well over 100 shows with you guys. And I would look, and you guys are playing your craft in front of an audience at a bar or something, and I'm like, those guys are my heroes. 18 years ago, I wanted to come work with them, and I'm doing it. And this was like 6 or 7 years into doing it. That still never wore off. And when you left, I hated I didn't hate, but I hated that the formatics of the show weren't there. I loved how you brought it in and out of the show, how you brought it in and out of breaks, your musical stuff. I don't know if you remember, there was a period where you were having me select your music returns from breaks. And it was like, my hero's actually engaging with me. So just think of a hero you have, and if they were actually like noticing you. And so it was just wonderful. It was a love affair. And then when you left, I love Bob. It's got nothing to do with Bob. But when he came in, it's a different dynamic with him and Corby and Danny than you. And I loved your dynamic. And I loved Corby being 20 years younger than you. I thought that created interesting things. And Danny kind of is the curmudgeon back there, doing his masterful bon mots. And it was just great. And when you left, that all ended. But another important thing, again, selfishly, is the Dancing with the Stars thing took a big hit for me. Because you engaged me. You would ask what season, you would ask where they placed, you would laugh. Bob did not care for that.
It was always fascinating to me, I mean, it was an unending source of fascination that this guy, who was radically outside the target demographic of Dancing with the Stars, was so incredibly into it. I don't know. I'm just drawn to that kind of thing, no matter what it is.
If you want an example, Tony, you sent me 4 audio cuts. If you want to call for them at any time throughout the show, you got Margaret Cho, Bill Nye, Floyd Mayweather, and Steve-O. So if you want to...
Yeah, those kind of meant something to me. The Bill Nye one, as far as I know, that was the first time I ever uttered that during Why Today Doesn't Suck. I had thought about it for years, but, engineers are like umpires. They're supposed to be seen but not heard. You don't want to know for anything from them. So I thought, well, they get mad if I ever say anything. And then I'm like, I just felt like I want to be part of this in a tiniest way. So Bill Nye was the very first one. It was his birthday.
Well, Tony, we always encouraged that. I mean, more than any other show up there, we always encouraged everybody to jump in.
The on-air talent. I was an engineer, remember?
I know, but I mean, even then, I mean, that's the way I always saw it.
And to be fair, it was encouraged by the shows. It wasn't always necessarily encouraged by other people that
there were other people who had different ideas.
How to do our jobs. Yeah.
One of the first things I was told by a superior in engineering was, you don't talk on air. And then I saw my supervisor getting a lot of airtime, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I could get a little bit. But anyways, it was just, you had mentioned Bill Nye, and I'm like, I think you said the science guy, and I'm like, well, he did more than just the science guy, so I had to throw it in. So this is the very first time I think I ever said it, and you'll notice it's.
Bill Nye is 58.
That's it.
I'm a guy.
Dude, that's it.
I would think he's older.
Dancing with the Stars. Can you not be a fan?
Wait, hang on. Tony just wanted
whoa.
to jump in here.
Whoa.
Sorry. What's up?
Dancing with the Stars.
Who?
Bill Nye.
He's on Dancing with the Stars?
He finished second to last in this last season.
Oh, Tony, I'm sorry.
Give old Tony a call.
How does Tony know that?
Why are you watching Dancing with the Stars, Tony? Give him a call.
It's one thing to know who won.
787-1310. Yeah.
He's a Bill Nye P1. Did you vote for Bill Nye?
Oh, I need to text NYE.
It's the Tony Show.
Oh my gosh! You see,
Let's end with this.
oh,
37 years old.
there was a
today,
second
Bob.
birthday.
Okay. Jaleel White.
No,
Whoa.
no wonder y'all went to Rosa Parks Way today.
Dancing with the Stars again.
It's the Tony Show. Give old Tony a call.
And see, your reactions is what did it. To hear him laugh at anything, and Corby's dolphin laugh, and even Danny would laugh once in a while. He begrudgingly accepted it. It was like a validation. They were okay with it. And I thought, afterwards, are they going to say, what the hell was that? What are you doing? But I thought you were laughing, and that was genuine, and I thought, oh, man. So
it was.
That was the
genuine.
beginning. That was the beginning of it. It happened to have two on one day. I couldn't believe it. So I went ahead and did Jaleel White after Bill Nye because everybody laughed at that one. So I thought maybe he'll laugh at that one, too. So.
Yeah, I noticed you were a little hesitant for that second one, but you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You did the right thing. You found a bit and you stayed true to it.
Yeah, you got to stick with the bit.
That was like 13 years ago. That would have been season 17. So I waited a long time to talk about the show. Because like I said, I was very nervous to do something like that. And I never asked for permission. I just did it that one day. And then the reaction those guys gave me said, hey, this might be okay to do.
Gave you enough validation.
Yeah.
Who won that season?
17?
Yeah.
Let's see. That would have been someone named Amber Riley. I don't know much about her, but I think she has something to do with Glee, the TV show, or something like that way back then. But season 17 was a
You may
fun
not know anything
season.
about her now, but you will momentarily.
Actress, singer, and songwriter. Played, she was on Glee.
Glee, there you
There
go.
we go.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So,
And she won Dancing with the Stars, too, huh?
Apparently.
and she was a surprise winner that year. Of course, she had the great Derek Huff with her, who's the king, But Corbin Blue, who finished second, was better dancer than her. And you can just go down the list. There were some that were just as good as her. But she was great. Don't get me wrong. And she had Derek, so that was a big deal. So a little popularity there. Remember, the best dancer doesn't always win.
That's right.
What does win?
I know now it's turned into a different show. Like I said, back then I could argue that the person who won, like every season, you could argue for. And then it became a popularity contest. People would always complain in the early days, oh, it's popularity. And I was ready to fire back. No, not really. This is why they won. But then it has become popularity now. It's a young person show. It's a Instagram, TikTok show. And, of course, I don't do any of that stuff. So I'm a dinosaur when it comes to talk Dancing with the Stars. But, by the way, I do have a podcast about Dancing with the Stars.
You do?
Yes. It's called, in case any of your listeners out there want to listen about Dancing with the Stars from an old school person, it's called the Ballroom Blitz. It only happens 3 months a year, September, October, November, when the show is on. And people
You do it every day or every week or what?
every week. The show's once a week, yeah. And people do win on my podcast. Every year I give away a trip to see the show live in Los Angeles and a trip to a tour stop in the off season. And no cost at all to the person who wins. So I've taken 12 people out to LA. So it's
on your dime or?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm spending my money on Dancing with the Stars and traveling. That's where I'm spending it.
So you see, people do win.
They do.
On the X ticket.
On Ballroom Blitz.
So anyways, back to the story. Here I was off on a tangent again. Yeah. So when you left, it changed a lot of things for me. And then we go to COVID. They let us go for about a year and 2 months because there's no remotes. And
Man, I can't imagine what things were like up there.
Yeah, at the studio yourself. Yeah, I don't know. There was no remotes, so it's a different life for them, I guess. But when I came back, I told myself, listen, Mike's gone, but everybody else is still here. I love this place. Deal with all your little things you have, and let's just kick ass the rest of the way. Well, can you cuss on podcasts?
Hell yeah.
Ass
Yeah.
isn't really a word,
Yeah.
but I don't cuss much, but okay. If it slips out.
If you've ever wanted to drop a big F-bomb, go ahead.
Yeah, he did just last week.
Somebody did?
Shoopy did.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh. Was it a mad one?
You know
or
why? You know why I did it?
No.
Because I could.
Okay. All right. Now I'm really emboldened now. Look
Hell
out. So when I came back, I just said, I'm going to try to participate, not necessarily on air, but I just want to enjoy this and relish it. And so my first gig back was Campound of 21. And you may remember in the early days of Campound, you guys would talk constantly at late night ticket. Let's go all night. Let's go to the Musers. And it never really happened in those early days. But I started saying every year, well, I could do it. I could go from 3 to 5 or whatever. And you guys would laugh at it. And then it was half joking at first. But then, I had the nighttime show at the station. I had call-in shows at the Wolf and the Ticket. I started feeling a little more confident. I could fill a couple hours. And then things got in the way. One night I had too much Woodford Reserve, and that kind of messed it up. And then another night, you guys ended it at like 1 or 12:45, and I'm like, I don't have 4.5 hours of content. I got 2.5, but not 4.5. So I didn't do it.
Well, don't say you guys. Don't look at me and say you guys. I wasn't there then.
Well, no, when I was, you were still there.
Oh, I was?
21's the only one I did without you. Yeah, so you were still there for sure. And I remember asking you guys individually, hey, you okay if I do this? If I go on air for a couple hours to fill this? Norm, bless his heart, he even said, I'll get up at 4:30 and help you from the 4:30 to 5:30 slot if you need it. Wow. I said, thanks, Norm, I may. So I thought it was a given. We had talked about it on air. I had tweeted it out, and I thought everyone knew eventually I was going to do it. I way overinflated myself. But in 21, I did it. I worked from 3 to 5:15. It was 3 then because Jake was doing his first one. And Jake and Donovan went to 3, and then I took it up to the Musers. And I felt so good and so happy that I was this tiniest little part of this incredible thing. And let's just say the program director was not happy with me. And
what a surprise.
Yeah. The next morning he comes out to the Campound, so I knew it was serious. He said, I could fire you for this. He says, I'm not gonna, but I'll let you work Campound, but I better not hear your voice again on air in the next day and a half. I said, what if they ask me a question? He goes, well, if they ask you a question, okay, but don't you ever speak up the next day and a half. I go, okay, we'll have a meeting next week to discuss your fate. And I just felt horrible. This was not it's fun to do bad things type thing. I didn't think I was getting away with anything. I thought I was participating with this station that I loved. I swear to God, it was an innocent mistake. Now, looking back, I should have asked the program director if I could do it. But I thought it was well known that I was going to do it, and again, overinflated.
Pretty loosey-goosey situation, and
and like I said, everybody was so encouraging of the guys. And I got to tell you, when I did your remotes, I thought of you as my bosses, even though you were in a different department. I wanted to do what they wanted me to do and help them do a good broadcast. So I just thought it was okay, and it wasn't. And then I just felt horrible, and I thought, oh, what's this meeting going to be like? Either I'm getting fired, or maybe a suspension, or punishment, and then you move on with life. Well, neither of those happened. I never spoke to the program director again in the next 7 months of my employment. He never spoke to me, and
not even saying hey in the hall or anything?
Well, I never was at the station really. It was only remotes. And I did stay clear of him when it was whatever, ticket stock. No, ticket stock would have been done. Summer Bash or whatever bigger events happened, because I knew he was unhappy with me. But it went about 6 weeks and no one said a word. And I thought maybe it blew over, maybe nothing's happening. And then about 6 weeks later, I found out the punishments started, and the punishments never ended basically. And that's what ultimately led me to go. There was never any discussion. It was just punishment after punishment after punishment.
Like what?
Well,
what did he do? Give you licks or something?
Oh, no. And it was weird. He wasn't my boss really either. And this is a good question for you. The radio hierarchy. Could a program director fire an engineer without the chief engineer's approval? Do you know how that works in terms of organizational chart?
I suppose anything could happen. certain program directors probably do have that kind of latitude.
And I believe some of that certain program director was also an operations manager, if I remember right. So,
and that's higher up.
Obviously,
too.
had a bit more say than
just
a program director.
Yeah,
He's got a pretty good
if he's
amount of,
operations manager also, then that gives him a little bit more latitude to do whatever he wants.
But I didn't understand why we never met. I thought maybe it was because he didn't want to involve the chief engineer because, he didn't want to bother him with it. I don't know. That poor guy had to run 6 or 7 stations sometimes. This was the acting chief, by the way, before they did hire a real chief or a chief engineer officially in 21. I never met that guy. But the acting chief forever, he was the best guy ever. He cared about us little peons in the remote crew and talked to us. And I don't know if he ever knew about it because I wasn't going to go to him because it would have been skipping my intermediate supervisor. I was a big chain of command guy. I thought I was a company guy and I would toe the line and I would do what's appropriate and greater good guy. And I wasn't going to go over him to go to my chief. Hey, do you know about this? Because I thought that was it. The first punishment was no Cowboys training camp. And, it's a good punishment. It's 1 to 2 weeks worth of work. It's Oxnard, California, which is very nice. And that was the non-financial things they could do for an engineer. I know when Soroy was on your show, he talked about, we knew we weren't going to get paid, and that's okay, but you can do other things to make your employee feel valued or whatever. And in engineering, that was to work the big events. Super Bowl week, Campound. So they took that away, and I thought, because I went to my direct report, and I said, hey, when's the Campound dates? I need to tell my other job. He goes, you're not working it. I go, oh, is that punishment for Campound, even though that was 6 weeks ago? And he goes, I don't know. He just said you're not working it. And that became a recurring theme. I don't know. He just says you're not working it. And another 6 weeks go by, and I thought that was it and didn't hear anything. And then the big one came down. You are never to speak of Dancing with the Stars ever on air again. And that was a big one for me because I loved that bit. And I know Dan McDowell liked it and Craig liked it from the morning show. And that one hurt.
I mean, everybody liked it.
Well, that's what I thought. The big thing it was a DeMarcus Ware discussion. It was the Hang Zone, Dan and Jake, and they were discussing his Hall of Fame credentials. Should he get in the Hall? And they were going over his career. And at the end of it, they said, pretty good little resume there for DeMarcus Ware. And you know me, I said, yeah, he's a pretty good little dancer too. And Jake busts out laughing. And Dan didn't laugh. I love Dan so much. He was looking at his stuff, and I was to the side, and I'm looking at him. He doesn't lift his head. He doesn't look at Jake. He doesn't look at me. You could just see a smile curling in the side of his mouth. And then he jumped in. He says, what season? Where did he finish? And he finished in front of John Schneider. And that guy is fancy because he's a Duke of Hazzard guy, And so we had a little minute there where I
thought it was the Blue Jays manager, that John Schneider. No?
No,
not that John Schneider?
He was Bo or Luke Duke back in the day.
I'm sorry, I got him mixed up.
Well, Dan, takes it off on a tangent. Did they have the General Lee there? I said, yeah, they did. It was out on the dance floor. And he goes, did it have the Confederate flag on it? And I said, no, they didn't do that. So anyways, you know how it goes. A banter around for a minute and a half. They laugh, I laugh. Hopefully the P1s laughed, and you move on. I get a call from the direct report. You are never to speak of Dancing with the Stars on air again. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I just got a call from the program director. He's mad as hell. He chewed me out. And you are never to mention Dancing with the Stars again. And I go, I've been doing this for 8 years. He's never said a word. He let me do the nighttime shows. What's going on here? Is this more punishment for Campound? I don't know. He just says don't do it. And I kind of knew then that's probably it. This was September of 21. I left in December. And then, of course, I love this place so much. I'm like, okay, just don't talk Dancing with the Stars.
No, the little program director got his pennies in a wad.
Yeah. But and a little peon part-time engineer. Why would he go after me? Anyways, I thought, come on, suck it up. You still love this place. And then, again, about 6 weeks later, nothing. And I thought, okay, it's finally blown over. And I found out I wasn't going to get to work Super Bowl week. And that was the end, because it was like, you're never going to get the big events again. You're never going to get to talk about it. And I almost went to him and said, what the hell? What's going on here? And I actually told my direct report, I'm going to do this, because I didn't want to get him in trouble by going above his head or going, without telling him. He says, no, don't do that. You're just not working it. And so you've got a program director that's got you in his gun sights. You've got a direct report that's not going to help. You're a dead man walking. And it's just like and plus the joy was gone. For a brief second, I thought, should I go to the chief and tell him, do you know what's going on here? Can you help? But the joy was gone. And I'm going to steal a couple lines from two of my heroes. One from Mike Rhyner. He was on a podcast when you left. I hope it's okay because you were on a podcast. They asked you point blank, why'd you leave? And you said, I felt marginalized and minimized, and I wasn't going to take it anymore. And
I did?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Those words meant so much to me because I wouldn't have thought of those words, marginalized and minimized. But that was it exactly. I felt exactly like that, and I said, I'm not taking it anymore. So my hero said it, so it's okay for me to say it. And then Tom Bergeron, when he was let go, I thought of him. And he said, because, he'd been on there from the beginning, and he was vested in the show, and they lied to his face twice. And he said, the show that I left was not the show that I loved. And I would say the same thing. The radio station I left was not the radio station I loved. And it hurt me to say it. But it had to happen. It was a love affair, and we were getting divorced. And I knew it was the right thing. It still hurt, but I was miserable, like divorces usually are. You're miserable when you get a divorce. And the joy was gone from the job. And I never thought I would ever say that I was going to stay there till I died. I was going to stay till at least 70. And I thought, can I still lift a speaker when I'm 70? I don't know, but I was going to try. And things.
I believe that, man. Nobody loved that place more than Tony.
Such a great attitude.
It was the greatest thing I've ever done, of course, and not the job itself, but I targeted this. I said, I want to work with these guys, and I made it happen. And I'm not proud of much in my life, but I was proud of that, that I made it happen. And this started at a Diamond Talk with you and Grego out in the Gold Club or something out at the stadium.
Yeah.
And I went out and listened to him, and I saw this promotions table. And he had a ticket shirt on, and I don't know if the ticket chicks were there that night. I can't remember, but I just saw him, and he's interacting with listeners, and he's giving out good stuff. I'd like one of those, and I love this place. And I just went up and talked to him. I said, "Hey, is this a part-time job for you?" And found out all the details. And then slowly but surely, after I got into promotions, went to engineering, and that was the ultimate, because I actually got to be with you guys rather than just. I mean, I was with you as a promotion or two, but I got to hear what you guys would say during breaks, and that was like a little fly on the wall for me.
Now, how did you talk yourself from programming into engineering? Because those are two very, very different worlds.
Yeah. Well, as you know, we talked about, it was hard for them to hire real good people in engineering because the money wasn't there and the full-time job wasn't there. So a lot of promotions people just kind of matriculated, if that's the right word.
Moved into engineering or promotion or programming, and just kind of, you know, they were willing to take the financial hit relatively to work for a station they love.
Yes, and promotions you made like minimum. You really didn't make anything. So it was a big salary increase when I went from $525 to $725 or something, or whatever it was, $725 to $925. But no, I was just I remember watching. Well, you know what really got me into it a little bit, and I hate to bring up bad things, but the day Grego had his issues at a remote, and stuff was going down between the station and him and you guys during the breaks. And Smiling Pete was the engineer, if you remember him. And Pete was just like intent listening, and I was like, what's going on, and because I can't talk about it. And so he kept it to himself. He never told me, but I'm like, I want to get involved with that stuff. I want to hear what they say when they talk back and forth. And like I said, I just wanted to be closer to you guys too and be part of it. And I looked at that mixer board, and I'm like, it looked like an airplane cockpit to me. I'm like, oh my God, like all your stuff out there. I know a little bit more now, but it's like, I could never do that. But then I saw some of, like Pete was in promotions and he went to it. And so I went to, at the time, Eric the Red was there. Eric Hood, I think that's what we called him, Eric the Red.
Eric the Red.
And I said, Eric, I'm promotions. I would love to, can I do anything? Can I volunteer to help out? He goes, we just hired somebody. They had just hired a promo person. And so that kind of put me on another year hiatus because we can't hire another one. But I kept bugging him and kept bugging him and kept bugging him. And he was finally, I think, warming to the idea after about a year. Then he left. And I had to start all over again. So I started all over with Rob and Rob Checkering, and I got to know him a little bit. And then Rob leaves. And so I felt like I was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it took me like 2 years to get on with them. But eventually, I guess they said, hey, we need to hire somebody. And someone said, well, you know, Tony's still around. And the guys that I had been talking with kind of left. But then they contacted me. And next thing I knew, fast track to engineering. My first gig was a Saturday morning show with Kevin Scott and Frito and Rich Phillips.
Nice.
What a triumvirate. We were at a Firestone Tire Center. Oh my God, was I scared to death. And luckily those guys are all cool. But boy, they were all saying, I need more in my ears. I need less. And I'm like, ah. It was awful, but they were all very nice to me. And that was my first remote. I'll never forget it. Firestone and Grand Prairie.
Which that is something that amazed me, working, you know, the hardline board for most of Tony's remotes. Like, I had no idea that Tony had no engineering experience before he started working our shows.
Hey, shocked the hell out of me, too.
Yeah, because every time, you know, he would work our shows, sounded great. He was easy to work with. Like, he sure as hell faked his way through it if he was, but... Like, I don't recall having any major issues. And, of course, I never was the type of board op that yelled at an engineer.
I was going to say, you were great.
And, you know, thankfully, we didn't have engineers that really yelled back either. But just the attitude and everything. And at some point, you know, when we were working together, you mentioned, like, you had no prior engineering experience. Like, what the hell? Because I just never would have assumed. Like, I thought you had... worked at some other radio station, TV or something.
No, you know, I took a picture of the mixer board and blew it up, and then I found out what every single button did on it or dial, and I went and bought some engineering books, but they were way over my head. I bothered North Texas forever. Hey, I can't remember what I think it's called auditing. Can I audit one of your classes? I want to just sit in, and that never worked out, but I tried the best I could to get it on air. The problem with me, and especially in the early days, was troubleshooting because things go wrong, you know, and they can't prepare you for everything that goes wrong. But even by the end of my tenure there, I was pretty good at figuring out, okay, well, let's check this and check this. But it mattered to me. It really did. I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let my department down. I didn't want the station down. So, it was a fun, like I said, a labor of love, and that's what made it so hard to leave, because it was more than a job. It wasn't a job. It was a fun thing that that I got to be with my heroes. So anyways, that's how I left. So
this is Tony Smith, Tony, as we called him. And we'll have a little bit more with Tony, talk a little bit more about his ticket past and whatever else he might want to get into here in just a bit. But right now, and I know this is going to seem awfully familiar to you, Tony.
Okay.
Because it's time for us to stop down for the dreaded and feared mid-show read.
Hey.
All right. If I may have your undivided attention here for just a moment before we get back into stuff with Tony. Need to speak to those guys out there who are wandering around in this world and they hurt all the time. They are in pain. And they would love to do something about this, but they don't know what to do. They think that maybe this is not something for a doctor, but I don't know, maybe they fear doctors. I don't know. But whatever it is, you think it's something that you can handle yourself, but more and more it hurts all the time. You can't get away from it. And you're starting to think that maybe this is something really bad. Maybe I am going to have to go to the doctor. Maybe I am going to have some sort of surgical procedure. Before you do that, try this. Try CBD. Try the CBD House of Healing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that I'm trying to set you up at a head shop like Pandemonium or something like that over on McKinney back in the 60s. No, this is anything but that. At the CBD House of Healing, Yeah, they deal in CBD and everything like that, and I know all that goes with that. But the fact is, if you are in pain, it does help. Now you're probably saying, okay, how do you know this? Well, I know this because not too long ago, I was in pain myself, and I used stuff that I got from the CBD House of Healing, and you know what? Made it better. It made it better. It helped me out a lot, and I bet it will for you too. The owner of the CBD House of Healing is an actual registered nurse, and she will listen to what you have to say to her. She will listen to you tell her what's going on, and chances are she's going to be able to come up with something that if it doesn't make it go away entirely, it will at least make it a little bit more bearable for you. So what you need to do is go by there, see it for yourself. Like I say, it's not a head shop. It's a really nice place, and they're all about the medicinal usage of CBD over there. The CBD House of Healing is located at that burgeoning intersection of Plano Road and Northwest Highway on the northeast quadrant up there. Go by there, tell me heard about it from us here on Your Dark Companion, and start your process of healing at the CBD House of Healing. Is that it? That's all I got?
Nailed it.
Okay.
Is it still live?
Damn right it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we are.
Is anything really live ever?
Good point.
Thank you.
Well, what are you doing with yourself these days, Tony?
I live in the life, really. Now, it may not be the Don Nelson living in Hawaii in paradise life, but for my lot in life, I'm pretty happy with things. You know, I haven't looked into it. I kind of designed my life to hopefully end up like this near the end of it, where I can kind of do what I want when I want. And I'm lucky enough to have enough funds that I can't go crazy, but I can take a winter to Dancing with the Stars if I want to. So I do a lot of traveling. I'm actually working the American Airlines system quite a bit, to get certain levels, and you can do it on the cheap, and you can get free upgrades if you kind of know what you're doing. So I've been traveling a ton. I have this part-time job, which I absolutely love. Hope I can keep that for as long as I feel like working. I still go to Fossil and Wildlife Center. I've been a volunteer out there in Glen Rose for. You been? Oh my gosh. Okay, I've been to Grand Mary, through it many times. But I've been a volunteer out there for 25 years. I just got my 25-year plaque, and they have a little awards thing for me. That was really sweet of them. I play a little senior softball with other old guys, so I can stay a little active, a little social engagement. And I guess other than that, it's pretty much immersed in Dancing with the Stars. So next week, actually, I'm going.
Boy, talk about sticking to the bit.
I'm going to Bangor, Maine next week to see a Dancing with the Stars tour stop. So I get the tour out, and I look for cities that I've either never been to or that are smaller. The smaller venues are a little cheaper, and you get better seats and all that stuff. It may not be a good time to go to Maine.
Rolling around the turf of Cooper Flag up there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's from Maine.
I did not know
right,
that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice place. I've only been once, and it might be a bad time of year to go, but I'm looking forward to that. So I'm just doing things I want to do and I like to do, and it's great. Every once in a while, I'll have a couple days where I don't have anything going on, and it's nice just to maybe sleep in till 10. I get up and eat a late breakfast. It's noon. I'm like, well, I guess I should do something today. Go to the post office or go get some gas in the car. And I'm like, wow, I'm exhausted.
Go to the range, get something to eat.
Yeah, I should have thought of that. And, it's like, well, that was my day. Okay, time to eat dinner. So that's nice. I really like it. I hate to sound like an old retired person, but I kind of am, kind of semi-retired. So. But it's really, really great, and it all depends. Is this
Not
wood?
bad, man.
Is this wood? Yeah, knock on wood. As long as the health holds out, just going to keep riding it, keep on trucking as long as you can. And, that's the variable. It can go just like that. So you better enjoy it while you got a chance. And I'm lucky to that point where I can enjoy some things now. And, that's just kind of living the life, I guess. Some people, sometimes when you ask how you doing, they'll say like, living the dream. And, they're just a toiling worker like all of us were. It always cracks me up. But, yeah, I'm kind of living the dream right now,
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
my
awesome.
dream. So, yeah. Very happy with everything. The sad ending at the station, that was such a big part of my life. It's all in the rearview mirror. I don't hold any ill will. Just the old saying, be thankful that it happened rather than cry that it's over or something like that.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful
Smile because
time.
it happened.
Yes, instead of crying that it's over.
And it can take some time to get there, but I think we all kind of pretty much everybody that's left the ticket kind of goes through that phase where
I suppose
there's some sadness, maybe even bitterness or just confusion at the least, and then after a while it's like, well, I'm still here and I've got great memories overall.
Yeah, I mean, you never heard me say one bad thing about it, and you never will.
Yeah, and that's why I hesitated forever. I didn't go. I had a couple of people ask me to go on a podcast, and I never wanted to do it because I didn't want it to sound like sour grapes. I didn't want to throw anybody under the bus. I didn't want to make it sound bad, but I guess it's over now, and I'm okay with it. And there's nothing wrong with telling the truth, at least from my point of view.
Yeah, and I think it's going from, especially you and I, Tony, being listeners before we started working there, getting to work there, and then leaving. You still have your connections to the ticket, but you're also not part of it anymore, and so it's definitely a bit of a adjustment where you kind of know how the sausage is made, and you get to know a lot of really cool people, and then they're not as much a part of your life anymore, but they're still going, and so you don't totally know what to do, but after a while it's just, well, it was a great time.
Yeah, I don't know if we got time. I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions. Like, do you keep in touch with anyone? I don't know if that's too personal, but like anybody at the station, anybody that used to work at the station, or is it kind of you're off doing your own thing now, and we all are?
I'm kind of off doing my own thing now. If I don't make any effort to keep up with anybody up there, however, if I were to run into anybody up there, as I have upon occasion, I would greet them warmly.
You bet.
Yeah.
May I
hold no ill will toward any of them.
Was there any friction when you started or went on the Freak?
Yes, there was.
Was it just hearsay, or did people call you and say, "What are you doing?" To us?
I got one text.
One text. Okay.
Yeah, but that was it.
Okay.
And besides, that never amounted to anything anyway.
Well, I just wondered, though.
I didn't go over there thinking, okay, man, we're going to tear down the ticket.
Sure, of course not.
I mean, nobody knows better than me what the ticket is, what it took to get it there, and just how big and how strong it is. Nobody knows that better than me. And I knew that the chances of anything like that was happening were none.
Sure.
I mean, all I wanted to do was do it for a few years and just one more good blow. That's it.
Yeah, and a chance to do something a little different than you'd been doing for nearly 25 years.
Yeah, just one more good blow. That was the whole idea behind it.
And, selfishly for me, chance to get back into radio after being out of it for 10 years with the people that I loved doing radio with. It was awesome. Like, it didn't last nearly as long as any of us hoped, but it was a great time. Me and Shoopy still get to do stuff, and we got Ashley involved,
Yeah, we met her there.
Whether she likes it or not, because of the Freak. We have her part of our podcast, and, it's just, after a while, it's a job, but it's also, not.
Yeah.
And
believe me, I know that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's, the people that are still there, I think, understandably, are a little more territorial with it because it's their livelihood. And, seeing a bunch of, ticket and fan people going off and starting another station, they're going to, whether it's feeling threatened or not, they're also not going to exactly encourage success for us.
Gotcha.
It's understandable and part of the game. It's kind of the pro wrestling aspect of it just like we, I think started off kind of talking a little about how we're going to try to, make a dent with, against the ticket, and realized pretty quickly that probably wasn't going to happen. So, okay, we're just going to be our own thing and hopefully have some fun with it. And we made some great memories, and I feel pretty damn good about the stuff we put out there. Like, I think less and less of our stuff is still available on, Spotify and all that, but the Freak podcasted like every segment of every day, and you can still find some of it out there, and I can still laugh at most of that stuff. It was
it had its moments.
Great time,
So if I ask you a couple questions, I've always wondered, like when you left on that final day, Had you told the bosses then, or the boss after?
No.
So were you definite 100% on that day? You just hadn't told them yet? Or did you leave a little wiggle room to say, I'm just going to take a couple days in dry dock here and make sure?
Let me put it like this. When I walked out that door for the last time, I didn't look back. I knew that I'd walked out that door for the last time, and I was not coming back.
Yep. That pretty much answers it then.
Now, what I didn't know was exactly how I was going to go about that. All that came together for me in the days that followed.
Oh, yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. How hard was it? I can't believe you left your baby. I can't believe you left us. I told you that was a big deal to me. How hard was it for you to leave that thing that you created and built with those important hires in the early days?
Not hard at all.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd had it. I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, and that was that.
Yep.
Yep.
See, I had that same feeling that I had it and I didn't want to do it anymore, but it still was hard for me. That's why I'm surprised that, especially when it was yours. That's great. I wish I had that ability to felt that way. It would have been easier.
I just kind of metaphorically and literally closed the door on it.
Yep. Yep.
And when it's time to move on, it's time to move on. You go and you don't look back.
That's great. Yep. Great way to do it.
And I think it's something you pointed out too, is when it comes down to it, you had other jobs at whether, radio or TV or, GTE, all that stuff. Like, it wasn't your first job out of college or anything like that, even though you did obviously have a very, very big part in the founding of it. You'd at least worked other places. And I think that's where some of that disconnect, especially with some of the people that, did pretty much have the ticket as one of their first big jobs. It's kind of tough sometimes, especially if they are still there, to, again, reconcile that, for Shoopy, there was other stuff out there or just nothing at the time.
Well, everybody has to sort that stuff out in their own way,
Sure, exactly.
And everybody's coming at it from a different place, and that's just my story. Somebody else's is going to be way different, and that's cool.
After I left, there was I think maybe a little over a year period, 9 people left in that time frame. So if you include yourself, that's 10 people, all long-term employees, all 15 plus years left in that little window. That's kind of interesting, I thought. But I know some people had similar feelings to me, but I'm sure not all of them. But that was a big hit for them, really, kind of, because, they had 17 on-air staff when you were there, and they lost 8 of them in that time frame. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's the circle, man.
Yep, I guess so. It's kind of neat, interesting that it was all pretty much after this incredible 20-year run, basically. But you're right. Everything's got a cycle, and
that's it.
We're all still kicking.
Yep, we are. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. For no other reason, I was thinking, first of all, why am I coming on this thing? And I thought, well, you have Dallas broadcast legends on here, right? I'm sure you've had Dale Hansen, Brad Cham,
Yep.
Eric Nadell.
Yep.
Check.
Multiple times.
Tony the engineer. It's logical. I'm the next one.
Mount Rushmore.
Thank you very much. If nothing else, it was a blast seeing you guys again.
Absolutely.
I miss you.
Likewise.
You both look fantastic, by the way. Gosh, you don't look like you've aged a bit.
Oh, you look hot, Tony.
Well, you're looking great too, Tony.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right, that is it for your Dark Companion for today. We thank you for being by the channel this afternoon or whenever you happen to be by the channel, be that later on tonight, tomorrow, next week, next month, who knows? Because this is a podcast. And in the realm of the podcast, shit lives forever.
See, he cussed.
He did.
Yeah, that's right. But, thank you for being by the channel. And what we would like for you to do now is, if you like what we're doing in here, get us out there on your social media. Like us, share us. Just throw us out in the pool and let's see if little white EC can stay afloat for however long. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm gonna go take my pants off. Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.